In today's second part of a three-part series of collective answers to a variety of questions that have been submitted, I'm going to share two major areas barrel racers must especially pay close attention to in order to get around the pattern quickly and efficiently. The first is independence and the second is body control. By independence, I mean that the horse has been taught not only to navigate the pattern basically on his own, but also take some responsibility for the way he carries his body and moves. I personally feel as though on a finished horse, as a way of testing them, I should be able to perform slow work on the pattern with slack in the reins and my hands glued to my horse's withers at a walk, trot, and even a lope on the pattern. Now, although this might not be something I would do regularly, starting out at a walk and asking your horse to simply follow your focus and subtle body language is a great way to test your horse's level of responsibility for staying on track. And I'll be sharing some examples of that in this video. The truth is, the more we use our reins, the less our horses use their brains. So often as riders, we have perfectionistic tendencies, so we micromanage our horses and end up constantly blocking their movement or correcting positioning issues, which the horse should really be taking responsibility for maintaining themselves. With that though, keep in mind that doing less with your reins and training your horse to operate more off body and leg cues doesn't necessarily mean you're riding with feel. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. So be sure to check out our last Q&A video for more on that subject. Now, before we can teach our horses to be independent, we have to educate them to a high enough level that we can position any part of their body anywhere at any time. When I say that, I really mean any part of their body at any time, meaning you can move your horse laterally over with leg pressure at a lope, meaning that you have complete control of specific foot placement even in the alley or under high pressure situations. It means that from a standstill, you can quickly and easily move your horse's shoulder, rib cage, hip, and all 4 feet. And again, you can do the same and create more straightness and bend, for example, while moving, even loping at speed. As you can see, if your horse is only so-so at side passing or is pretty non-responsive to your leg cues at a trot, then it's going to be awfully difficult to correct them on the pattern when they get off track or help shape their body when teaching or reinforcing the pattern, which is all necessary for teaching independence. Once you have a horse that takes responsibility on the pattern, you can again fall back on that high level of education and responsiveness to correct any issue or even help them a little here and there in a run when needed, and they'll both understand and accept your guidance. As you can see, body control and independence definitely go together, and focusing on both of these things and refining them even more can completely eliminate so many problems and result in much faster times. To take a deeper look into body control and even in-depth descriptions of how I establish that, I'll refer you to a past Q&A here on barrelracingtips.com called How to Fix a Wide Turn on the Barrels, where you'll see video clips of what I expect from my horses before I start them on the barrels and a description of how to get that snappier responsiveness. The bottom line is that we must have the ability to move their body and move their feet in a split second while operating at a high rate of speed. This may require more time and effort developed with some horses, while others will be more naturally sensitive. When a horse is independent, we no longer have to ride them through the pattern like a ball in a pinball machine. It's easier for the rider, and everything about a run on a horse that is responsible is much smoother and therefore faster. When we've really trained our horse to have responsibility for staying on the pattern, we still may need to offer subtle help or guidance at times in challenging ground conditions, for example. But when we do, that's where the high-level body control comes in, and again, I'll include a link to a past Q&A that may be really helpful for establishing this. For now, let's go to the barn and I'll explain what instilling this independence might look like in the beginning stages. I will exaggerate to teach, but with a horse that should know the pattern, I'll perform slow work in a way where I might have a hold on the reins, but I'm not really telling my horse where to go. I'm allowing him to show me where he knows to go and only making a correction if necessary. In fact, to prove that my horse is totally in sync with me, going in the direction he's been trained to go and following my body language, I should be able to successfully test my horse by setting my hand on their withers and asking them to honor what they've been taught with little to no correction. .com here doesn't actually know the barrel pattern very well yet, so I'm exaggerating my body language to teach him and then only using the reins to correct if he gets off track. You can see that he actually does pretty well despite minimal barrel training he has to stay on the pattern. You might see, however, that he's not taking responsibility for maintaining the correct shape in his body. I want a nice bend from nose to tail, and sometimes he gets what I call inside out, where his rib cage is pushed to the inside of the circle. Again, he's just starting to understand the pattern and positioning, and so this would be something I would work on more away from the pattern first, and then would definitely correct it if it occurred again on the barrels. Having a high level of body control means I can really place my horse's feet anywhere at any time, even in a high-speed run. Again, it's only when we have these things really firmly established going slow can we advance to having them in a run. We build that responsiveness and responsibility at faster speeds over time. In slow work, we correct a horse when they get off track in any way, and we reward what we want. Remember, what is rewarded gets repeated, so don't hesitate to make it really obvious when your horse has done the right thing. Testing your horse on a pattern like this can be so eye-opening. Most of us don't realize how much we micromanage our horses and how doing so contributes to how they perform on the pattern. It's also a great idea to require that your horse take responsibility for things away from the pattern. Because what we ask of our horses and how we communicate with them away from the barrels will definitely be reflected on the pattern. We all want our barrel horses to navigate the pattern as quickly as possible, and most of us realize that we need to have firm foundations established. But I find that so many people overlook just how taking their horse's responsiveness to a higher level would really serve them, not just for correcting positioning issues in slow work, but would also be immensely valuable for being more effective when we offer any subtle guidance our horse might need in a run. Of course, the subject of independence and responsibility is something I love sharing because it was certainly something I didn't have enough of in my horses in the beginning stages of my barrel racing career. So I know firsthand how often that is overlooked and how common it is for barrel horses to be very micromanaged. When we change that, it makes our job as riders easier and actually makes for much happier, confident horses. In the end though, remember that training alone won't create the lightning fast responsiveness you need on the barrels. Independence and body control is very important, but unless you're riding with true feel and your horse is feeling you back, your program will still be lacking. Again, look to our previous Feel is Fast post for more on that subject. Thanks for joining me again, and don't forget your questions and feedback are very welcome in the comments below. I look forward to hearing about how you apply the lessons I've shared today. Remember that knowledge is power, but only when you apply what you learn.